Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers, including Peter Berryman, John Robertson, Brandon Trano, and IndyCar world champion Alex Palou. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a brand new season, season number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, right here on Apex Racing TV. Embarking on a 7-round sojourn around some of North America's, Europe's, and Asia's most storied circuits will once again shine those big Klieg lights on some of the best GT3 drivers from around the world. And new this season, we welcome the TCR class to the World Challenge. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth is His Eminence, Larry Lefty McLeod, along with Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual production trailer, bringing you all the best views of tonight's action. And so after a fun-filled and feature-packed open to our new season at Road Atlanta 2 weeks ago, we returned from the Labor Day holiday halfway across the world for round number 2. Originally envisioned in 1963 as a NASCAR track, tonight's venue has morphed much since then, debuting as a road course in 1965, seeing the one completed high bank turn removed and the layout going from a counterclockwise to a clockwise circuit before Japan's first ever Formula One race was held there in 1974, and then becoming one of the best known race courses in the world when Namco brought pole position to the local arcade and Atari brought it to your living room in 1982. But tonight we race the Herman Tilke design layout that was introduced in 2005. Welcome everybody to Fuji Speedway for a 75-minute run to the checkered flag. And so, Larry, welcome to Fuji, and of course, it's a course that will certainly challenge our drivers tonight. It's got a combination of blind entries, tight hairpins, decreasing radius turns, and off-camber exits, and that final sector, oh my.
Ohio gozaimasu, Greg. How are you? That's the limit of my Japanese right there. Yes, this is one of the most challenging, technically challenging courses you could imagine. Despite having that straightaway that seems to go on for miles, everything else in here is about precision and about absolute perfection when it comes to the way this place is laid out. It's a very difficult track. These drivers are going to be challenged to stay close, to not make mistakes, and maybe to save their tires a little bit in this nice long 75-minute format.
Yeah, Larry, it is going to be, I think, probably the most challenging circuit that we have on this seven-round series. You know, most every other venue here for season number 5 is one that I think the majority of our drivers have raced at, or at least practiced at least once. But Fuji, fairly new to the iRacing platform, is something totally and completely different. And so without further ado, and we can wax philosophical about this, but why don't we turn things over to the expert? We're going to turn things over to Kevin Ford, and as he does every week across the many Ricmotech series, he's going to give us tonight's track guide.
Welcome, everyone, to the incredible Fuji Speedway located here at the foothills of Mount Fuji in Japan. An incredible course here, opened in 1965. 16 turns, 2.8 miles is what it takes to get a lap done around here. Well, let's head up the front straightaway. As you'll notice, our main large grandstands to the left here, our pit entry to the right. Very long front straightaway here, and this is the best opportunity for slipstream here at Fuji. This is the big straightaway at this course. Heading down into the turn 1 area here, we'll be coming in at a very high rate of speed, heavy on the brakes, down through the gears here. Real tight rotation there in through turn 1. This will bring us out through turn 2, very wide section, up through this little short chute and uphill into this blind entry of turn 3. This is a fast entry here. We'll track out wide, come right back to throttle, down through turn 4. Be careful here, as this will bring us into turn 5. Want to let the car rotate, come right back to the right to set up our entry into the blind entry of turn 6 here. Wrapping that car down into the bottom of that corner. We'll track out up into 7. This will bring us into a very fast double right-hand downhill section of 8 and 9. Boy, this leads to a very heavy brake zone here. Turn 10, this one is a doozy. You really got to get that car slowed down to get back to the right, and then back to the left through 11, up through 12. And we'll come right back to the right here for 13. This is going to bring us into a very tight drop-off down into the apex of 14, and then we're busy once again, right back to the left here through 15, up over that apex, up through this very wide entry of turn 16. Get that car to rotate right to the bottom, come to throttle, race right up off the track out of the exit, and there you go. Boy, it is busy around here. The incredible Fuji Speedway. Heading down the front straightaway one more time, you can see a lot of speed picked up here and overtaking for certain on the front straight. There you go. There's your track guide for the amazing Fuji Speedway. Thank you for being with us.
All right, thank you so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Fuji Speedway. And Larry, there was something just a little bit different about tonight's track guide compared to most weeks, and you could hear it in Kevin's voice. He was working hard there to hustle that BMW around the track, and especially as you got to that last sector, that third sector where you're dealing, you're going through the Dunlop curve and and all the way through, finally through Panasonic, the last corner on the track onto that very long straightaway. It is definitely a challenge, and I'll bet we saw obviously in the GT3 car how hard it was for him, but I'm willing to bet, Larry, that tonight tire wear on the TCR cars, the fronts of those cars are just going to get, I think the challenge will be not to burn the front down to the ground, especially through that last sector. I mean, you've got those off-camber exits, you've got the hairpins, you've got very late apexes that you just kind of have to wait and wait on. It's going to be a challenge for them, and certainly for all of our drivers.
Yeah, it'll definitely put some abuse on them. But I think from a driver standpoint and an ability to stay pace with the car in front of you becomes difficult when everything out there is these decreasing radius corners, followed then almost immediately by the longest straightaway in Japan. And it's going to be tough for them to stay tight bunched up. But if they're able to, now they can use that straightaway. You actually might be able to see, even in a TCR class, a little bit of draft help, because the straightaway here is just ginormous.
It is absolutely huge. All right, so we've had a couple of changes, or actually not a couple of changes, but a couple of updates to share since the World Challenge first ran a couple weeks ago. And one of those updates is, well, about the iRacing update. And so because we had a new build in iRacing come out last week, and we wanted to give the drivers some extra practice time and allow them, typically when you sign up for a new season of the World Challenge, you're in the car for the duration. If you want to drive the Ferrari on week 1, you're going to be driving the Ferrari in week 7. But because of the changes to the platform and the new build here after the season started, we wanted to give the drivers the opportunity to test out some different cars and give them a one-time chance, if they wanted to swap platforms, to swap chassis throughout the rest of the season. I don't believe that any of our GT3 drivers took that opportunity. Well, they took the opportunity to practice, but I don't think any of them took the opportunity to change platforms. However, in TCR, Austin Knight, I believe, has switched over from the Hyundai Elantra to the Audi RS3 LMS, and also another driver who was not with us during week 1. That's Jeremy Goringer from Flying Squirrel Racing. He was also originally planning to run the Hyundai Elantra, and he has now moved over to the Audi as well. And it's good to see a little bit of variety, because it was essentially the Hyundai Elantra show at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and every single one of our drivers was scheduled on week 1 to race, whether they showed and took the green or not, to race the Hyundai Elantra.
Yeah, and it's great to finally see some parity. And I think, hats off to the platform, to iRacing itself, for continuing to push this and to try and bring a level playing field, so that it isn't just a one car make into these touring car races. And we appreciate them doing it just for the Ricmotech series, of course. But what they've been able to do is allow the multiple cars come in. And I think it just makes things more interesting than just having a single make race. So I'm looking forward to it, and seeing some people make the jump and see if it helps them here in round 2. And maybe we'll make a great fight for this whole thing at the end of the 75 minutes.
All right, and so another change, Larry, from week 1 to tonight, and I don't think we have this specified or showing on our timing pylon right now. Jake Gortson, driver of the number 12 Mercedes AMG GT3, based on his times, his qualifying times, and his race pace at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, well, maybe the man should have sandbagged a little bit. He has been moved out of the AM category up into GT3 Pro. And so I know right now, and hopefully we'll be able to get this fixed up at some point this evening, because I think we're showing him right now as second fastest in AM. He is currently right now 4th fastest in Pro, and we were talking to Jonathan there back behind the scenes. He's going to try and get that changed up. But
single-handedly reclass Jake into another class because he's just too fast.
Too fast for everybody here, and apparently too fast for us behind the scenes to get that change made. But congratulations, or sucker, I don't know. Way to go, Jake, here, and moving up into the pro category. So I think that's pretty much it for the housekeeping duties, Larry. Hopefully in just a little bit here, as our lone qualifying session, we're about 6 minutes now into this lone qualifying session, where we give each driver 15 minutes to make 4 flying laps around the Fuji Speedway, and their fastest of those 4 laps, without of course going off track, will set their time for tonight's grid. And hopefully at some point this evening, after qualifying, either after qualifying or maybe when she finishes up her 4 laps, and I believe she's currently working her 3rd flying lap here tonight, Jennifer McDonald, driver of the number 99 BTL Motorsports BMW. Hopefully she will be able to join us here in the commentary booth. We'll be able to get her outlook on tonight's race before the green flag flies.
So as we've got qualifying about a third of the way in on this huge track, some drivers have gotten a lap in. We talked about Jake Gortson. There he is in the pro ranks now, showing 4th. Evan Peichel, of course, right now down in that 38.0, which is, you can see, lightning fast ahead of everybody by a second, including the likes of Jennifer McDonald and Mike Dam and, of course, Jake himself. So it shows that Evan's got some true pace when he comes to this track. And considering it's relatively new to the platform, that may be an advantage to having done some practice on this, maybe even before the last week for these drivers.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. All right, so as we have qualifying going on, and we've already told you, where Jake Gortson lays now as we've got him in the pro category. If you take a look on the side of your screen, we have our timing board there, our timing pylon, and we've got obviously broken down by class and by color as well. And as qualifying goes on, and as you watch the race tonight, we have the cars and the driver, well, maybe not the drivers, but we've got the cars color-coded as well. For our GT3 Pro class cars, you will see, much like as we're watching Mike Dam right now in the number 93 Orion Racing Mercedes AMG, those cars in the pro category, will have red mirrors. They'll have red number boards. They'll have red M plates on their wings, and they will have red windshield banners as well. Our drivers in the GT3 AM category, and much like Steve Daniel over here in his SKKJ Racing Ferrari, they will have green mirrors, green number boards, green windshield banners, and green M plates. And if you can't tell the difference between a GT3 car and a front-wheel drive Hyundai Elantra or possibly Audi RS3 LMS, we see there Shane Jordan. All of the TCR cars, they will have the blue mirrors, the blue number boards, the blue windshield banners, as well as the blue end plates on their rear wings. And so you can match them up to the timing pylon on the left-hand side of the screen, but that is how, and we'll remind you of it a couple times as we go on, how things play out on course. As we're watching right now, Brandon Whitworth, who is on his 4th and final flying lap tonight. He is currently qualified 2nd in his D2D E-Racing Hyundai Elantra, and he's looking to improve upon Shane Jordan's 150.24. He's about a quarter of a second off of that, as he is now making his way, I believe, through some of the final corners here.
You can see just how difficult some of these corners really are. Yeah. Just flat as can be, super late apex, led by, immediately followed by yet another tight apex corner, followed by another. Oh, it's just so difficult as everything seems to be blind into this stuff. And then you got this uphill right-hander that leads you into down. Another, 180. This one, a decreasing radius 180, which are just, to me, in motorsports, one of the hardest corners just to flat out drive. Followed by yet one more of these decreasing radius corners as the front tires start to scream for mercy.
Yeah, and this is that final sector, that third sector I was talking about earlier, as he now very late on the throttle gets back onto the front straight, this very, very long front straight here at Fuji. And as he goes down the start-finish line towards the very end of the straightaway, about 3/4 of the way down, and let's see if he can improve upon his previous fast time, a 150.49, and he does improve, but puts in a 150.37. That is not going to be enough to best Shane Jordan. So Shane stays as your provisional pole sitter in TCR for the moment, as we still have about 10 minutes remaining. Not 10 minutes, pardon me, about 5 minutes remaining here in qualifying. If we take a look at our GT3 Pro drivers, Evan Peichel, currently your provisional pole sitter with a fast time of 138.25, over 3/4 of a second up on Mike Dam, who is now going through those Dunlop curves, turn 10 and coming into that final sector now, as he is currently second fastest here, looking to improve on his 139.10. Again, has about 85 hundredths of a second to make up to see if he can pass Evan Peichel, who is, I believe, in the sole Porsche 911 out here running tonight in certainly in GT3 Pro, but I believe also in GT3 altogether. And Mike Dam now coming onto the front straight. We'll track and see whether or not he improves as we jump over and take a look at Robert Hartley now. Hartley finished up in fourth, and 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I guess, at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. So actually, let's do this, Larry. Let's go, as we've got a couple minutes here left in qualifying, and we're waiting on Jennifer McDonald. Let's take a quick look back at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, where in GT3 Pro, Evan Peichel took the win in his Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Porsche 911, and of course he's your provisional pole sitter at the moment here at Fuji. Mike Dam and his Orion Racing Mercedes finished second. Travis Schwenke, also from Orion Racing, also driving a Mercedes AMG GT3, finished third. And just off the podium, Robert Hartley, as we see him there in the number 3 Orion Racing machine. Then we had Jack Harrison in the Jack's Pink Pig Porsche 911, finished in 5th. And if we take a look at the point standings in Pro, Evan Peichel currently is your points leader. Mike Dam second, Schwenke, Hartley, and then Jennifer McDonald, who finished 6th on track, but ended up passing up Jack Harrison due to the number of incident points that Harrison garnered during the race. It dropped him back to 6th in the points, and Jennifer to 5th. And so let's take a look now over at GT3 AM, where your winner at Road Atlanta, Nate Thomas, in his Lamborghini Huracan, one of the few Huracans out there this weekend. He's racing for Driftline Racing. Dean Dibdahl, who moved over to the World Challenge after having been a GT3 AM champion in the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series. He finished second in his ZP Motorsports Porsche 911. Steve Daniel came home in third in his Ferrari 488, and then finishing fourth for Team Collusion was John Sterling, and Alex Brown finished in 5th. And if we go and take a look at the point standings, and I think this is very important, Nate Thomas is currently your points leader, of course, as your winner. Steve Daniels second, then John Sterling, then Dean Dibdahl 4th, and then Alex Brown from Primetime Motorsports 5th. And I think the major reason there, Larry, is that Dean did not gain any bonus points that week for running practice sessions, and he actually lost a bonus point for having 21 or more incident points during the race. So even though he finished second on track, you can see there it dropped him out of that tie for second place down to 4th place overall with only 19.
And we'll see if the incident points play a part in tonight's race, considering the easy spots to go off track around this monster of a Fuji circuit. That may be another night where it's difficult to stay clean. I actually would have thought Road Atlanta would be one of the easier tracks to maybe pick up a free bonus point there, but I don't know that a Fuji is going to be any easier.
No, I don't think so. And so let's take a look at TCR, where Eric Violet from D2D E-Racing, the D2D folks having moved over from the Honda Civic Type Rs in the offseason. Eric Violet took the win with his teammate Brandon Whitworth finishing second. Austin Knight for MRP Grand Prix moved over from Lead Paw Racing this week. Austin finished in third in what was then, he was then driving a Hyundai Elantra. As we mentioned, he's now moved over to the Audi chassis. Shane Jordan from Gray Ledbetter Racing finished in 4th, and then Tom Jenkins from TGT Racing finished in 5th. Again, all those drivers at the time in Hyundai Elantras. And if we take a look at the point standings currently, it is Violet, Whitworth, and Knight, Shane Jordan, then in fourth, and then Tom Jenkins. But as you can see, and as you would expect, with just one round in the books here, some very tight running, only a couple of points separating each one of our drivers. As you can see, we only had 7 drivers in TCR on round 1. So there you go. Lots still up for grabs as we come into round 2 of the season. All right, so Larry, qualifying now is complete. Let's go and run down the starting grid for tonight's race, and I guess we're going to have to just rely and hope that Jennifer McDonald finishes on the podium.
I think let's wish that happens. We'll get a chance to talk to her then. But let's go through this grid, starting with the GT3 Pro level. On the pole, a flying lap, 8/10 clear of the field. Evan Peichel in the Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing entry. On his outside is going to be Mike Dam from Orion, the highest of our Orion qualifiers. On the second row, there she is, Jennifer McDonald, the BTL Motorsports, making her return here, and she's so focused she decided to skip the discussion with the clowns at the start of the race. I figured she'd take her opportunity at the end of the race, so wish her luck. On her outside is going to be Jake Gordson, newly minted into the pro ranks, up from the M ranks from the reverse grid racing. On row 3 on the inside, Orion Racing's Robert Hartley alongside HPDS Racing Academy Nick Risaputo. On row 4, Chris Thorman from D2DE Racing alongside our third of our Orion drivers, Travis Winke. On row 5, it's going to be D2DE Racing's David Payton. Kevin Ford listed, but I don't know that he's driving tonight. All right, real quick, I'll run through the M's. On the inside of the pole, Bobby Childs from D2D alongside Steve Daniel. Row 2, Alex Brown and Jose Cabrera. Row 3 is going to be Andrew Parker and Nate Thomas. On row 4, John Sterling and Dean Dibdahl. Row 5, Jay DeVries and Ed Morris. On row 6, it's going to be Jeff Jacobs and Russ Ruddock.
All right, so let's go take a look at very quickly here at TCR, where we have on the pole tonight. In TCR, it is going to be Shane Jordan, driver of the number 56 car. Actually, is that correct? Actually, that is correct. Mike Polasek at the last moment there in the number 47 machine, and that is a Hyundai Elantra is your pole sitter. Shane Jordan second. Brandon Whitworth will be on the inside of row number 2 with Austin Knight to his right. Then we've got Eric Violet, who's going to start 5th tonight in TCR with Nick Horvath, from a new driver for Lead Paw Racing, starting in 6th. Andrew Parente in the number 15 Hyundai Elantra. He will start 7th. Brad Husty will start in 8th. Then we've got Tom Jenkins. He's going to start 9th tonight. And then we've got Marlon Jones and Jeremy Goringer rounding out the field. And so we've got the pace car now on the pit lane, and green flag is in the air for our GT3 field as they are now making their way down the front straight here over towards that hard-braking turn number 1 hairpin. And Evan Peichel, he's got the inside position, but it looks like Mike Dam might have a nose up, and we have cars off
the back.
And that is, I think, that is
Brennan
Horan, yeah, off into the wall there. Wow. And big damage there on the first run. And looks like our TCR cars are trying to get word here. They are still waiting to get that start. We'll see if they do. And green flag is in the air for the TCR cars, as it is Polasek and Whitworth on your front rows. We jump here we go. And Polasek out to a great start there, with Whitworth falling trying to follow right back behind, but 3 wide, almost 4 wide now, coming up to the hairpin with Polasek, Whitworth, Shane Jordan, and Austin Knight, as things will funnel down into the hairpin. Whitworth alongside Shane Jordan now as they come out of turn 1 and make that slight little bend over towards turn number 3. Very high speed left-hander here, 4th gear for these cars as they come through. And now Whitworth, he's going to give up the position to Shane Jordan. He's going to fall back in the 3rd. He's got his teammate Eric Violet right behind, and a big wreck here in
that's Thorman.
That's Chris Thorman in the number 60 machine. I think Dean Dibdahl in the number 19 machine, the Porsche 911. Both getting to, well, there we go, as Dibdahl is back on track now there, but big damage for the number 60 machine of Thorman. He is now in the pits. He's going to join Brennan Horn, who had that All right, let's do this, Larry, because things have been a little hectic here at the start.
What a start.
Let's jump over to the start of the GT3 race, and we're going to take a look here.
Looking for the 45 of Brennan Horn in one of the Ferraris there. You can see him in the center of the shot, kind of in a bit of a train there between one of his teammates, and I think that's Dibdall behind him, who may have just barely touched him, it looks like. It almost looked like Dibdall didn't even make it, but by one of those, one of those phantom hits you find in iRacing.
Yeah, exactly. You saw Dibdall. He just moved over to the center of the track, and all of a sudden, we had Brennan Horn heading over, and it sounds like there you go. Dean Dibdall is going to get responsibility for that first incident, and we'll see him.
We know that he was involved with 2 of them on that lap. Of course, the other one, with the number 60 there, I believe it was Thorman. So a couple of things there with Dean on his first lap.
All right, and now let's take a look at the incident that involved Thorman, and it looks like Dean Dibdall now.
There's the end of it.
Yeah, there's the end of it as Dibdall went on, but it looks like Dibdall now into the pit lane.
The replay here. So Dibdall really not involved in that one. Looks like he just got collected in it. That may have happened to Thorman prior to Dibdall arriving on the scene.
Yeah, it looks like Dibdall just didn't have a place to go there on the exit. But let's do this, Larry. Let's finally jump back to live action here. And oh my gosh, has it been hot and heavy here as we're on board with our 3 leaders. We're 2 leaders, because I'm still showing Gordson and Am. Bobby Childs, he's got Jake Gordson in the Mercedes right behind him. Gordson stepping to the inside, but right behind Childs is Steve Daniel in that Ferrari. That is the battle for the lead in Am, as we've talked about. Jake Gordson now, he's running 4th overall in Pro, trying to clear himself of our AM category leader and get up to Jennifer McDonald in that blue and white BTL Motorsports BMW. And it looks like now Gordson has finally managed to do that, but in doing so, he has definitely brought Steve Daniel up into that battle for the lead in AM. And Daniel, he's got Hartley, Schwenke, and Rasputo, 3 Pro category Mercedes drivers right behind him.
Yeah, that's we'll see how long Bobby can hang there on the back of Gordson, with Steve Daniel now on his 6th, trying to fight for that AM lead. They've got a couple of cars in them and Carrera back there in 3rd, and Carrera right now under investigation for the incident with Thorman on that first lap, so we'll still wait here on that one. But the battle of the AM category lead between these 2 Ferraris, Bobby Childs, Steve Daniel, we'll see if Steve, now with that opportunity in front of him to try and make a little bit of pressure on the back of Bobby Childs, perhaps fighting for the lead the next time down the front straightaway, which we are 2 corners away from seeing to see if it's there.
All right, and it looks like Dean Dibdall had been on the pit lane to get some quick repairs, but he is now back on the pit lane, I think, to serve his penalty, as you can see him staying all the way driver's left in the fast lane there, and he will likely head back out on track. But with those 2 early stops, pretty much I don't want to say a death blow for Mr. Dibdall, but
it's a long race.
Yeah, it's a long race, but he's got a lot of ground that he's going to need to make up here as we jump back to our battle in TCR. And this is right now the battle for 2nd, as Mike Polisek has moved out of the view there. You can see he's already got about 7 car lengths now on Shane Jordan, who started 2nd. Jordan with Brandon Whitworth, Eric Violet, and Austin Knight, part of that battle. And you can see here Jordan just tossing the Hyundai all over the place. Looks like still a very, very loose car for him tonight, Larry.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting race. A lot of these Hyundais, a couple of Audis thrown in the mix, but everyone kind of in the same make for the most part, no longer having to worry about the Hondas versus the Hyundais and all that stuff, which means you get these kind of battles going on. What I'm really curious about is it's tight here between Jordan, Whitworth, Violet, Knight. These 4 are all kind of lined up, but Polisek's got himself a lead. We've seen in the past where a lead early in this doesn't always lead to a victory, because tire wear and tire management becomes a big deal in these TCR cars. You talked about it earlier, how difficult those corners are and how hard they are on tires. Is Polisek using them up, or is he just blowing the competition away because they're all battling behind him?
Yeah, and I wonder, Larry, given how incredibly long the straightaway is here, and it's really the only straightaway at Fuji, I wonder. And we have going around that is Andrew Packer, one of our Canadians, and Packer in the number 167 BMW, facing the wrong way.
That's not good. There was a whole lot of piling up there as that was going on. Didn't seem to impact our leaders too much. I still see Mike Dam, Jennifer McDonald, Jake Gordon still doing their thing, but definitely going to be some action going on at the back and a lot of movement right now.
All right, let's take a look and see what happened to Mr. Packer here. As we could see her entering that very difficult sector there. And he is the lead car all by himself.
Oh, no.
And yeah, just a little bit too much throttle. And it looks like almost everybody was able to avoid, with the exception of one driver there. And I think
David
that
Payton,
one driver was David Payton, yeah,
perhaps.
in the 64 D2D e-racing machine.
Yeah, not a great start here for some of the D2D drivers, with Thorman and Payton already involved early with incidents. And of course, Horan on the first straightaway of the first lap.
So going back, Larry, to before we had that incident, I was saying, we have got the one very long straightaway here at Fuji. Would you think that given how much Polisek has moved out from the rest of the TCR field, that perhaps the lack of draft there might impact his fuel savings, or do you think basically a lift and coast, given how much of an advantage he has at this point, might make up for that just a little bit?
He might get away with a little bit of a lift and coast. He's just got to be cautious not to overdo that. But you can see the guys behind him are fighting pretty hard. There's no lifting and coasting going on behind him, and that's just playing into his favor right now. So if I'm him, I would probably take the extra half a second it might take for a pit stop to do an extra bit of fuel later on in this race and just go at it. Hit your rhythms. Don't worry about fuel saving techniques when you've got a couple second margin on the field like he does.
And there you go, Brandon. We just saw Brandon Whitworth take the second position in TCR over Shane Jordan over at the turn 1 hairpin. Now let's jump over. And this is the battle right now well, I was going to say it's the battle for first in AM, but once again, it's still Jake Gordson, who is currently running 4th in GT3 Pro, and our leader in AM, Bobby Childs. I'm wondering if perhaps Childs doesn't know that Gordson is in the Pro category.
I think he probably does, but what he also knows is he does have an AM category driver behind him in the form of Steve Daniel, and he knows if he can get around the Mercedes in front of him, he can put a car between himself and that like-minded Ferrari driver Steve Daniel in AM category. So I think that's really Bobby's motivation here, is to put something between he and Steve Daniel and perhaps create a little bit of daylight as the race develops. That corner is so slow.
It is. and you'd think that perhaps the Mercedes, with some of these very slow corners, that the Mercedes might be able to dig out a little bit more, whereas I think obviously the Ferraris may be a little bit more nimble, but the way this course is laid out, and as quickly as some of those corners come up to you, as we've seen here, Gordson with that Mercedes, he's able to hold his own against the Ferrari.
Yeah, he definitely is, and you can see back there Travis Schwenke also in a Mercedes, trying to put some pressure on them and to make a move here, as we already have 7 laps in interaction now going on between the leaders, or at least the front of the field in the GT3s, going up against some of the TCR drivers who are starting to let them through. But Bobby continue to put pressure on Jake Gordson. Bobby, maybe we need to move Bobby into the Pro category, and he's too fast for the AMs. Look at the way he's racing.
Yeah, no kidding. It's almost like Bobby has a say in this or something. I don't know.
Oh, conspiracy alert!
It's conspiracy.
Look out.
The fix is.
We've got contact, and that's one of our TCR drivers into the wall.
I think that's Brad Husty.
It is
in the Husty racing machine. He goes off after having gotten a little love tap.
Innocent
coming through the corner there, yeah, and it's looking like we'll see those TCR machines. They are pretty resilient, but there was a little bit of a wobble there, I think, as Husty was getting that car back underway.
Yeah, let's wait and see if there's going to be the alert in a few seconds of incident under review from the officials, because anytime you see a TCR car tapped at all by one of our GT3 cars, you can expect the stewards will be closely monitoring.
All right, tell you what, Larry, we've got the replay queued up. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened here, as we had the front of our GT3 field starting to make their way through the TCRs. But this looks to be TCR out in front of him. TCR. action, at least initially.
But then that's
Gordson, I believe.
Gordson. So he was a little slower avoiding the TCR in front of, which is what he needs to do. But then it's Gordson coming in and maybe approaching the TCR a little faster than he expected. Would not be surprised if Gordson sees a penalty here in the next couple of minutes.
All right, and that has obviously changed the dynamic here at the front of the GT3 AM category field, as Bobby Childs no longer having to dice it up with the number 12 machine, as Childs now and has just Steve Daniel to worry about, although Daniel has those 2 pro category Mercedes that we talked about before. We've got the Orion Racing number 16 machine, the Mercedes of Travis Schwenke, and then Nick Resputo right back behind. And there you go, incident involving cars number 12 and 37 is under review.
No surprise there. But yeah, I think you're right. Bobby doesn't have to worry now about Gordson, but he does still have to worry about Steve Daniel. And I think the other 2 drivers in the pack, Resputo and Schwenke, are showing a lot of pace, especially Resputo. It looks like he may have gotten around Schwenke in all of this. And we know that both of them have got some pretty good pace. The Mercedes looks strong here early on.
Ooh, with a late lunge to the inside that corner by Travis Schwenke. Got on the binders, stood on it hard to keep from going into the door of Resputo. But that is the battle right now for 5th in pro. With those
I never say
Mercedes.
how much I really like the sound of those Mercedes. They are just an amazing echo of symphony. Oh.
Yeah, perhaps the greatest sound. You know, there's a lot to be said for the exhaust on the Ferraris, but yeah, maybe. Oh, and Larry, there you go. Drive-through penalty for the number 12 machine of Jake Gordson. Yeah, should not be a surprise there.
And he's going to serve it right away. He knew it. He was probably ready to serve that the last lap and decided to wait for the official. And hey, you know what? It's good. It's good that he recognized it. It's unfortunate that it happened, and I'm sure he'll work hard to make sure it doesn't happen again. He'll be back out racing momentarily, and I expect he'll probably be back up with the pack in not too long because he's shown some pretty good speed.
Yeah, and the question is, Larry, whether or not he got the car woed down in time. You saw there's a bit of a chicane as tight as that third and final sector is here at Fuji. Well, the entrance to the pit lane is just about as tight, a very tight chicane leading into it, and it looked like he almost lost the rear end trying to get the car woed down there. But as we jump back now over to the lead,
Let's
winner.
talk about this guy because he is just flying right now.
Yeah, our winner from round 1, Evan Peichel in the Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Porsche 911, and he has already opened up about a 3-second advantage now over Mike Dam, who Dam now has separated himself out from the rest of the field, out from Jennifer McDonald, now running in 3rd position with almost I think about a 6-second advantage over her.
You know, let's talk a little bit because Mike Dam, we know, has been one of the favorites, one of the perennial winners in this league, and regardless of which series it is across the Ricmotech series. And so when you see someone within 15 minutes of race putting 3 seconds on Mike Dam, you know that that's some amazing pace he's got right now. Evan Peichel, yeah, it's very impressive. He's just really laying it to the whole field right now. And as you said, Mike Dam's got his own gap, pretty substantial, 6 seconds over the rest of them behind him. But that means Peichel's almost 10 seconds clear of the field just in 15 minutes. That's a pretty impressive pace early on. He's really going to have to watch coming through the field as this race develops, as we've got our eyes on the number 17 of Jeremy Geringer coming around through those last couple of corners and spinning his Audi.
Hey, and real quick, Larry, just wanted to, you know, I'm not real big on giving shout outs, but wanted to say hello and welcome to Dennis Branch, who is apparently watching from home. Hope everything is going well with you, Dennis, and hope you can come back soon.
I miss you, Dennis. And not Jonathan, but the rest of us definitely. But anyway, back to racing, as again, the TCR battles, and again, there's a Mercedes in the middle of them, and it's a little bit of a different Mercedes. This looks like the 38 of Jeff Jacobs in the middle of all these TCR cars.
And look at Jeff Jacobs in that StreetSurvival.org machine. He's got the big SCCA wagon wheel on the side of the car. Beautiful, beautiful new liveries for a lot of these drivers here.
He's put a lot of time into the livery for his Mercedes. So considering how his autocross car is about as plain and boring as it gets, it's great to see him out here with a fine livery on such a fantastic race car. He's got a white twin that he autocrosses. It couldn't be any more boring. But maybe if you put this paint scheme onto his autocross car, it'd be a little bit more interesting. But it's beautiful. Look at the stripes and flowing. You said the wire wheel looks great. Good stuff.
All right, so let's jump back now, and this is again the battle for the lead in GT3 AM. Actually, and running 4th and 5th overall. Hey, maybe these two drivers should be in the pro here, as the two Ferraris now only 0.6 separating the two, and they again have Ricmotech and Schwenke sitting right back behind them. But those two drivers seem to be staying out of the battle for now, whether it be just because of their pace, or whether because they don't want to interrupt that battle for the lead in class. Now that perhaps Childs and Daniel are separated out by at least 3.5 car lengths, maybe they'll take it to them. But the other thing, Larry, here is we just saw these drivers make their way through that Coca-Cola curve over turn 3. You'll find that a lot of the corners here, they have these bollards right at the apex, and so many corners here have blind apexes, and in some cases very late apexes, and the only thing that you have to guide yourself in many cases is that huge bollard that you want to get, pretty much put the car right on top of it. And we saw there both with Childs and Daniel that they were literally right on it.
Yeah, and it's such an undulating circuit. It just keeps twisting and turning, and it's hard to see where the next corner is. But at the end of the day, there's maybe 2 good passing spots around here, and it's certainly one of them being at the end of this ginormous straightaway. But the other, of course, down on the infield, maybe after a couple of those inner curves. But it's not the easiest place to pass otherwise, because it is just so twisty. You can maybe send a dive bomb move down the inside, but often what that results in is just some body repair for your team.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and we saw that earlier when Schwenke tried to go down the inside of Ricmotech, and just the slower corners where you would try to outbrake somebody, they are so incredibly tight that you really need to be right up alongside going into the braking zone. You can't really make those dive bombs.
We're taking a look right now at John Sterling, Ed Morris, a couple of guys running in this pack. They are moving pretty good right now. These two Porsches, Sterling in the 87, Morris right behind him in the 7. They've been kind of clipping their way through the pack. Sterling's up 5 positions, Morris up 7 positions, and then behind them, Russ Ruddock's already moved up 8 positions in this race. So you've got some big movers in this field that I think as this race goes on, we're going to start to see them up into those top 6, 7 positions. Right now, these guys down to 12th and 13th overall, but they're moving quickly.
Yeah, and again, some of these folks very new to the series. I mean, we saw Andrew Packer earlier, who had that unfortunate spin. But to see John Sterling with us, for example, new to the series this season, Jose Cabrera, who we saw in our sports car series running with us, and good to see him back here with us here in the World Challenge as well for Not a Team racing in the Ferrari. But really, as you said, a very tight, close pack there with Ed Morris and Russ Ruddock right in the middle of it as well, longtime runner here in the series.
Let's take a look at Jose Cabrera right there in the middle of all of this, and it's great to see these it's one of the biggest fields I think we've had in a long time, and maybe even a bit surprising with a track that's still so new to the platform. Often the new tracks are slow to be adopted, but these guys seem to be all enjoying it, as we've got about 33 cars on track tonight. I love it. It's successful, and I love seeing the big TCR field, about a dozen of them, and that really shows how good of a league this is, how strong the administrators are into making this a fairly well-run league, and to making sure that rules are applied and everybody enjoys it. They get lots of practice in, and makes for great racing among whether it's the 2 categories of GT3 or among the TCRs as well.
And of course, Larry, I'd be remiss if I didn't remind everybody that if you like what you see here tonight, big fields, great racing, multi-class racing, go ahead, give us a thumbs up on YouTube, and if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to Apex Racing TV and click on that notification bell.
Yeah, Dennis, make sure you subscribe.
That's absolutely right, Dennis. Please listen. I know you haven't done it so far, but go ahead and subscribe to Apex Racing TV, because great virtual motorsports action practically around the clock. And of course, you can find more on the different social media channels, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on the Twitter by going to Apex Racing TV.
Palasek just really checking out on the field. It's just amazing to see the pace he's putting down. No one able to stick with him. In fact, he's at this point almost closer to the back of the GT3s than he is to anybody else in the TCR field.
Yeah, I mean, and Larry, you know, he pretty much came out of nowhere during qualifying. I didn't even believe it when I saw that he was on the pole, because I never saw him get up even into the top 3 or top 4 during qualifying. But the Palasek, this is his first race with us here in the World Challenge, and he is definitely both an experienced iRacer, as you would imagine, but also comes from a go-karting background.
Well, I can appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, you could probably show him some moves, Larry.
I'm not so sure I can, but he's showing the rest of the TCR field all the moves right now, showing that perhaps some experience behind the wheel of a go-kart gives you some racing prowess, and then a lot of years on this platform. Even though he's new to Ricmotech, he is certainly not new to iRacing, and showing the rest of the field that, hey, you know what, TCR has got some top-ended blood, that's for sure, and it's not just a one-driver field anymore.
That's right. He's been on the iRacing platform since 2015. And Larry, I don't know if you noticed that, but we just had adjudication of one of our incidents there. And we should have a driver coming down the pit lane here in just a few moments to serve a penalty. And of course, I'm trying to play back which cars were involved. And I saw it come up on the board, but I didn't catch the cars.
Oh.
Okay, so it was.
It's going to be Jay DeVries in the number 721 and the 86.
86,
which I believe belongs to.
That's Shane Jordan, currently who started on the outside pole in TCR, currently sitting back in 5th position.
That's another involvement between a GT3 driver and a TCR driver. So I think the stewards are really going to watch those closely, you know, because of they are separate classes. They are in their own races. They don't really appreciate it when their contact comes together and one person's race ends up in tears. They're really pretty rough on those. As we get a good shot there of the 132 at Nick Resputo. Now right on the tail, looks like, of Bobby Childs. Steve Daniels been shuffled back a little bit since we were watching some of the other battles.
Yeah, both of the Mercedes both the Mercedes of Resputo and Schwenke have shuffled Steve Daniel back here and out of that battle with Bobby Childs for the lead.
And it looks like Resputo is going to try to make a move on the inside of Childs as well. We'll get back to that in a minute as Russ Ruddock trying to chase down the number 38 there of Jeff Jacobs.
All right, let's jump back to that battle here, Larry, that we're watching here with Resputo and Schwenke. Schwenke's not given any peace to the 132 machine either. So I think whatever move that Resputo tries to make on Bobby Childs, he's going to have to always do that, knowing that he's got the 16 machine, who will likely try a counter move.
The variety of lines is always fascinating to me as well. That's a big slide there for Schwenke.
Yes, it was.
The variety of lines, you know, you watch them each try different things because it is such a wide track. But with the decreasing radius means that the dive bomb can be there, but you'll get a terrible exit if you want to nail it. And I think that's the position that Resputo and Schwenke are both in. You can try shoving your nose in at the wrong spot. Problem is, it's ruined Greg's that you're going to give up position. Speaking of giving up positions, almost looks like Steve Daniels got the better run down this front straight, but maybe the Mercedes has the legs to hold them off.
Yeah, and we saw where Schwenke did get a good jump out of the corner, maybe got to the throttle. Coming out of that last corner and onto the front straight, it's kind of deceptive there. You know, again, it's a late apex, you know, but there is still a little bit of undulation in the pavement, and it takes a while for the drivers to actually get the throttle back down, get that pedal back down, and get out of there. And it looks like, you know, and maybe that's one of the advantages of the Mercedes, which has been known to be perhaps, you know, the most stable platform, besides having the best sounding engine. You know, one of perhaps the most stable platform there. It just kind of hunkers down, and maybe the rear engine Ferrari just having to wait on the throttle a little bit more. And as they got down about midway, actually less than midway, you saw where Daniel he was in the draft, maybe even a quarter of a car length up, but then just kind of fell back behind the Mercedes.
Well, let's see as they again come up to the last couple of corners here. And now they've got traffic with the TCRs fighting through, really throwing their lines off. For Schwenke, he wants to get through them, and he does. Gets around, I believe that's Brad Husty, and he's going to try and set up a run down this front straight so he can stay pace with Ristaputo and Childs. Steve Daniel trying to do the same thing as they've cleanly made their way past. Oh, they hitting those big old sausage curbs. I mean, yeah, he's a Steve Daniel, man. This thing's so violent.
I mean, there's the big sausage curb there. There's also one a little bit earlier, and I think at one of the hairpins, which looks like it could just do an extreme amount of damage to one of these cars. And you saw how it just lifted the Ferrari right up in the air, the two of them in very quick succession there coming out of 16.
And that'll do damage to the car as well. It will do aero damage. The sim does track that, so you've got to really be careful not to clobber those things too many times. And then more penalties being issued, as you can see there. Car number 12, that is Gortson again.
Again?
Yes, for his involvement, I believe, with Jay DeVries earlier in this race. We didn't quite see that one, but boy, I tell you, lots of penalties coming up tonight. This track, with maybe a lot of the blind corners, you can see there is Ristaputo again is trying to get up on the inside of Bobby.
Yeah, let's see. We might have it here, and there's already a bent up wing. If it was maybe a little bit. Oh, there you go. There is the tap. Coming into looks like coming into 100R, and around he goes, and back to the pit lane Mr. Gortson goes.
Flashback in here to see Ristaputo still trying to get around Bobby. It looks like a couple times to be able to get alongside, but maybe not able to fully stick the move. Maybe Bobby's car is just set up with nice and trim wings down the front straight so that it doesn't give up any positions. But Ristaputo not able to make the move on the twisty bits, despite his efforts so far.
All right, so Larry, we might have just missed it, but Jeff Jacobs, driver the number 38, StreetSurvival.org Mercedes, just came in for what we think would be his pit stop here. The pit window for GT3. We think that the cars can probably run about 32 laps on a full tank, which would make that pit window for tonight somewhere between lap 13 and lap 32. Jacobs pits in on lap 16.
Pretty quick stop as well, so we'll keep our eyes on the rest of the field there. It looks like Russ Ruddock may have also come in for a stop along the way there. So a couple of early pit stops there. Well, maybe interesting because the way this thing is coming up into traffic that I might be tending to take my stop as soon as I come up on a field of TCRs, if you can see them coming. But right now, not the choice that Travis Schwenke or Steve Daniel have taken as they continue to make their way through that TCR bunch. But we'll see, where does our leader, Evan Peichel, go? Is he still got this lead now over 4 seconds on the field, already starting to lap some of the folks even in GT3 cars. There's Chris Thorman, of course, who's been into the pits already for some damage, I believe. But Peichel just setting the pace, no one in front of him, but at some point, he's also going to have to stop, and that's when maybe opportunity comes for Mike Dam or Jennifer McDonald, currently running second and third.
Yeah, and it looks like Mike Dam might have picked up a drafting partner there.
A little bit there. Is able to come off the back of Jeff Jacobs in the similar Mercedes.
And Jacobs pulling down the front straight, then pops out ahead, going down into the hairpin. And Mike Dam currently running second in GT3 Pro.
We'll see how the tire management is among the leaders in the GT3 as this race progresses. 4 seconds is I would say a comfortable lead, but not necessarily insurmountable by any means for Mike Dam.
And not as comfortable as the 13 seconds that Mike Polasek has on the rest of the TCR field right now. Brandon Whitworth, driver the number 42 D2D iRacing Hyundai, in a bit of clear air right now. He is currently running second. You can see his teammate a couple car lengths back behind. That's Eric Violet. They are running second and third, but again, almost 13 seconds off of our leader right now.
Polisek keeps going like this. He's going to have a full livery to put on that car by the end of tonight.
That's right.
As he doesn't have any sponsors listed, but I think they're going to be knocking at his door pretty soon.
Knocking at the door, exactly. I was just wondering. You know, I know certain Formula 500 drivers, Larry, don't paint their cars because it makes them at least a half a pound heavier. I'm wondering if that's Polisek's advantage here tonight. Is not the body in white, but the body in black. Yeah.
Yes. Just primer, folks. Just keep the metal from rusting. That's all you need. And a vinyl wrap is lighter than paint.
Yes. All right,
Look
let's
at the
jump back
stack
over.
of GT3s.
That's it.
And they're in a different order, Greg.
Yes, they are. Look at this as Nick Ricmotech has gotten around. Not only has gotten around Bobby Childs, so drop Bobby Childs now back. He's got Schwenke and then Steve Daniel in the 96 car in that bronze and greenish Ferrari. So Ricmotech now sitting in 4th position overall, 4th in GT3 Pro. And it looks like Mike Dam now trying to look for a way through as well.
Ricmotech now wanting to try and make the next move, which is going to be to Jennifer McDonald, currently in the 4th spot. And Schwenke now trying to pressure to get around our AM leader, Bobby Childs, taking different lines around that inside, that big, giant 100R sweeper. That was good.
Yeah. Just the sound of that, you just hear him get on the throttle and
the
pull
Ferrari's
out of that corner.
an okay sound, but that Mercedes is. And Schwenke trying to make the move down the inside, trying to avoid the contact. May have been a little bit of rubbing there. Gonna try and pressure Bobby to a mistake. Bobby holding form. Schwenke gonna go left, gonna go right, gonna go left. Now he's gonna fall in behind as they approach 42 up there in front of him of Whitworth. He's currently 2nd in TCR, and he's looking at his mirrors going, where did these guys come from?
Yeah, where'd they come from? And Whitworth essentially showing them the door. He had the rear end of that Elantra hanging out, made that TCR machine about 3 times wider than it should have been, as they now come out onto the front straight, come out of that last sector. But you can see where the TCR car is definitely having some issues with grip in that section. I'm just amazed, though, Larry, as we watched Travis Schwenke, and we saw Schwenke try a late braking maneuver on Ricmotech earlier, but as Schwenke tried to put the car underneath Bobby Childs there, he rotated that thing around the nose like I have never seen a Mercedes rotate before. I mean, it looked like somebody had just picked the back of the car up by the wing and just, twisted it around for
Well, the Mercedes is practically a mid-engine car with as far back as the engine is, as far back as the driver is. This is not your classic front-engine car. But you can see he's able to move that thing around very well, very handily, and he is trying all the dive bomb moves, really trying to force Bobby into a mistake. And Bobby, to his credit, is doing a great job of just not driving his mirrors, driving his line, maybe making sure that Ferrari stays, we'll call it Jeff Jacobs type of wide, and to try and hold off the crowd behind him. But at some point, Travis, it's either going to end in tears or Travis is going to pick up a spot, I got to imagine, because he looks quick and he's aggressive.
Yeah, he just cannot find a way to get around that Ferrari as they come through the Dunlop curve there and through that final section. And you can see all of the alternate lines that basically the anti-line that Schwenke is running, Bobby Childs runs. Schwenke tries to put that Ferrari in a different place, although you can see here we're coming through the last couple corners. Yeah, a little bit of a mistake, lost a little bit of pace. It's not anything that Steve Daniel can do anything about, but it gives Bobby Childs maybe a little bit of breathing room here for just a couple of moments. But Larry, let's do this before we start to see, and I know the first round on the World Challenge, we went through almost the entire round of pit stops. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Let's thank some of our sponsors, and when we come back, we should be right into the heat and the meat of the pit windows for most of our drivers here. So you are watching round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
And we're back here at Fuji Speedway for round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Tech Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, it took about 20 laps, but Travis Schwenke has now finally seen his way clear of Bobby Childs.
Starting to wonder for how long the way that Travis, now that he is past, doesn't have the carrot in front of him. Suddenly he's, I think, driving to his mirrors. That car is sliding and slipping.
All over. Yep.
And look at it. There he goes, exiting on the curb. So, and then
well,
Bobby tried to follow him.
Yeah, I was going to say, and so Bobby Childs tries to follow him, and that's now going to move Steve Daniel up into the lead in GT3 AM
if I'm one of these guys, I dive into the pits right now. Get the breather, get a reset, do something. Because they're going to have to pit at some point. But nope, they're going to keep going and hopefully get it under control next time by. Maybe Steve Daniels is the one that's going to luck out in all this and be the consistent one among this field. Because right now, Schwenke seems to have pace, but maybe not so consistent.
Well, Larry, so that is going to bring somebody into the field here, or into the story that we haven't talked about. Sitting at the tail end of that line, that is Alex Brown, driver of the number 43 machine, the Primetime Motorsports BMW, and it's his first time here racing in the World Challenger. This season is his first season with the World Challenge, but he's been on iRacing almost since the inception of the platform, since October of 2008. So it came around year number 2, but lots and lots of practice. And he is he's in a podium position right now, but he is he's in a good spot here early on, that he could definitely pick up a position or two.
I love how he's got the plaid sort of into his paint scheme there. Of course, he's another one of these Canadians from Ontario coming here to join us. So Mike Dam has some Canadian friends now. Alex Schoen, he's got some pace. I'm wondering if maybe he's just a bit of a slow starter, but now that he's got into a bit of a groove, he's ready to fight. He got himself in 3rd spot in his ham category. We've seen what's going on with Bobby. Alex may have himself a shot here at minimum at a podium, depending on how this scoot go. And now look at these guys in TCR going 3 wide with that the 89 right in the middle there. Eric Violet surrounded by, I think, Shane Jordan.
And that's Austin Knight. I think that's the 21 of Knight. So used to seeing Austin in that Lead Paw Racing yellow and blue machine, but now in the dark-colored Audi, leading that field. Knight currently sitting 3rd in TCR.
And this battle for 3rd, it's pretty intense among all Knight, Violet, and Jordan.
Yeah, and so Violet, who had been trailing right behind his teammate Brandon Whitworth for the early laps in this race, has now fallen back behind that 21 Audi, currently sitting 4th in TCR. And Shane Jordan, who started on the pole, or pardon me, on the outside pole tonight in TCR, finds himself now in 5th and has not been able to make much headway here.
Well, within this battle, maybe he's able to settle in, but this is going to be a pretty intense group here, just fighting for third. Only one of these guys can finish on a podium, and I believe we still have pit stops coming for all of them, so there's a lot of wild cards yet to be played before this race is over in the next 35 minutes. And you got to figure that the experienced one in this group, being Violet, maybe has an advantage, but perhaps the new guy here in Knight making the move might just be the one. Or maybe not Knight, but in Jordan might be the one who able to come out on top, as they've got then, of course, one of our GT3 cars coming up behind them on track. Trying to see who that is. The 18, Jose Cabrera.
Cabrera, yep.
Going around the outside, round the outside. And then our leader, I think, Michael, looks like now going to approach these guys on this lap. I think I just saw the Porsche. There he is.
And there he is, yeah.
He'll be patient, I suspect.
Yeah, and perhaps came up on him at just about the right time, Larry. Or, well, we'll see as they come down into Dunlop over towards turn 10. Maybe it's just at the wrong time. Yeah, he's just going to have to follow these guys through. But he's got a lot of time to give at this point. He's got about a 7-second advantage on Dam. He takes care of one of them coming through the hairpin at 13.
Yep, probably go around the outside of one more and then maybe get the third one as they approach the front straight. There's the outside move. So much stick in a GT3 car. Gonna get the launch here down the front straight, and he'll use the horsepowers granted to him by the GT3 gods to go blowing past the TCRs.
And the fact that he did not get into those sausage curves, because I just didn't want to see a Porsche, the underside of a Porsche 911 at this point, but played it very well and only lost about 1/4 of a second in that entire exchange to Mike Dam. And you can see Mike Dam now there a little bit further back on the front straight. He's now going to have to deal with that 3-car battle in TCR as well, and he might luck out, Larry. I think as they come down towards they're coming into turn 3 right now.
He should be able to get a couple of around this Coca-Cola curve and then around the 100R. And you see just how much power and stick that Mercedes has compared to the front drive TCRs.
All right, coming down into the pit lane now for her pit stop, Larry. Jennifer McDonald coming in from 3rd position. And a long pit lane here at Fuji.
So she was in, mostly by herself, but Ricmotech showing some pretty good pace. Is going to be challenging her as this race goes on.
Yeah, now when I think Ricmotech still had about 14 seconds to make up on her, so it's definitely going to be difficult, assuming she can get the pit stop right here. And of course, you also see there on the pit lane right behind her is Jake Gordson, and it looks like his day likely done now, because I think he's been parked on the pit lane for about 15 minutes now. Let's jump back over now, and this is Travis Schwenke, and you can see that battle for the lead in GT3 AM directly behind Steve Daniels, still your leader, having inherited the lead from Bobby Childs about 5 laps ago. But you see there, Alex Brown in that BMW, he's holding in tight.
He is definitely holding in there, holding onto the back of it. Looks like a slightly updated livery there on Bobby Childs' car. Trying to make out what that is. It looks like a bit of an anime theme here in the land of the rising sun here at the Fuji Speedway. At least that's what it looks like to me.
and there you go. That's I think exactly what it is, Larry. I don't think we can slide any further back, but I'm seeing the hands. I'm seeing the hair.
Good choice by Bobby there to kind of spice it up here for this one race. And we'll see if he continues to do that with some of his GT liveries as the season progresses here in the World Challenge. More interaction, though, between GT3s and TCRs. As that's the 15 of Andrew Parente They're running currently, I believe, 8th in the TCR field as the leaders, the GT3 AM, go rolling by.
All right, tell you what, Larry. Let's jump back over to this battle for the last step on the podium in TCR. Actually, I guess this is right now. Yeah, the last step on the podium.
Contact there between Jordan and Violet. Violet just taps into the backup and probably didn't expect Jordan to be lifting like he may have been in that middle of that corner. That's just one of those excuse me, pardon me taps. And it's front drive. What do? You stand on the gas, you pull right out of it. And that looks like what Jordan was able to do to recover and lose much ground.
Didn't lose much ground at all, Larry, to Knight there. As Knight maybe eked out another car length between he and Jordan, but still very, very close there. Yes.
And now he's late on the brakes. A little concerned about Violet maybe giving him the love tap again.
Doing it again. Yeah, exactly.
And I think I heard on the comms there a bit of an apology, a little bit of an oops, sorry coming there from Eric Violet, but certainly nothing intentional. But for Jordan, and there's a bit of a going the long way around there for Austin Knight. But as we flash everybody into the pits here in GT3, that whole battle, including.
Let's bring up. So we've got Childs, Daniel Brown, Nate Thomas, who was part of that batch from GT3 AM. All
here's
coming
Bobby.
into the pits,
Bobby looking like he's just trying to keep up there with what in front of him, Steve Daniel, and Bobby now coming around the sweeper, just loses the back end on entry, doesn't make contact, high centers on the curb.
Yeah, and that Larry is in that final sector, trying to get out onto the front straight, and wisely the 88 car takes the pits, but Steve Daniel now with a bit of breathing room finishes his pit stop.
Call it a lot of it because he's got an Alex Brown still behind him in that BMW that's been closing quickly throughout this. Going to be probably about 3 seconds between them as they come out of the pits, maybe 4.
And
but I would not
Brown's got John Sterling sitting right back behind him as well, coming out on the track, and I think Jose Cabrera in his Ferrari is part of that battle as well. So certainly things are still very tight here
and for
in
Steve
GT3.
Daniel. Yeah, for Steve Daniel, he has race leader Evan Peichel right behind him, and probably gonna have to yield to him at some point here if Peichel doesn't come into the pits first. Which, if that happens, would allow some of the others like Brown and Thomas to maybe make up some ground.
All right, so we've got a couple more of our TCR cars coming in now for their pit stops as both Shane Jordan and Austin Knight come in. And Larry, interestingly enough, I think we saw their Knight come in, get situated, and I did not see Austin Knight's car take tires.
Does not look like he did. He's trying to go with the advantage of maybe thinking this long front straightaway is enough to cool the tires. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, Shane Jordan did take tires and stop a little bit longer. At least we believe he did, unless the car automatically popped up on the jacks. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. This is Ricmotech now coming in from 4th. We're going to keep our eye on Jennifer McDonald now going by to take that 4th spot back. Ricmotech, good solid stop there. One of the quicker ones we've seen, so we'll see where he comes out relative to the pack that he'd been battling with, which included some GT3 AM drivers earlier.
And it looks like Ricmotech might have made up a couple of seconds there. Again, I think there was about 14 seconds separating McDonald and Nick Ricmotech when they went for the first round of pit stops, and about 12 to 13 seconds separating them now. Now Mike Dam pitting in from 2nd place in the race as Evan Peichel, our leader, continues to circulate out on track.
Jose Cabrera looked like he was also in right in front of him. But let's keep our eyes on Mike Dam, see what kind of stop he makes. And let's just see if the car goes up for any tires. As now that is Polisak, the leader in TCR, now in for his pit stop, giving the lead over to Whitworth momentarily. So Polisak, will keep our eyes on him. Looks like he's already back underway again with one of the quicker stops, as Mike Dam now also underway. Doesn't appear to have taken any tires from Mike Dam, and resuming back into 2nd spot as Travis Schwenke comes in for his stop, and this will be likely yielding back 3rd spot to Jennifer McDonald.
Yeah,
we'll see if Schwenke Ricmotech is the one I'm watching for.
And in TCR, it does not, based on the times there, Polisek, very similar time in the pit box to Austin Knight. I don't think he took any tires as well, with about 7 seconds faster in the box than both Shane Jordan and also Tom Jenkins.
Eric Violet also just comes in and out, and based on his pit time, does not look like he took tires either. So a lot of the drivers not taking them. Shane Jordan might have been one of the few of the front runners in TCR to actually take tires.
Yeah, and it also looks like, it also appears as though Violet almost 2 seconds less time in the box than Polisek, and considering he pitted in perhaps, about 1 lap later, probably took quite a bit less fuel. We'll have to see if he has enough to make his way to the end of the race.
Ricmotech does come out in the 4th spot, but ahead of Schwenke in 5th. Looking at, looks like about 4 seconds separating Ricmotech and Schwenke on track. There's Schwenke. It looks like he's just behind the leader, Peichel.
All right, Brandon Whitworth now pits in from the lead in TCR. He had been running second, exactly. This should give the lead back to our leader, Polisek, who's on the front straight now.
Yep. The one we should keep our eyes, though,
leaves his pit box.
Shane Jordan in 5th. Where does Whitworth come out relative to Violet, Knight, and Shane Jordan? Whitworth back underway. Should have a comfortable lead over the likes of Violet, Knight, and Jordan. Interesting, though, that Shane Jordan may have been the one that took tires. He's 13 seconds back from Violet and Knight.
All right, and Whitworth now coming in for his pit stop. Or probably leaving now. And as he goes to rejoin, he will rejoin in second, and still with almost a full minute up on his teammate Violet.
Race leader.
Now Evan Peichel. Yep, there we go. Evan Peichel, our leader.
Last of the pit stop.
Lane.
Boy, the pit lane speed limit is slow. It is so slow. And we'll see if he can hit his pit box and get out of there and secure what could be a victory if he can do this pit stop clean. He's in his box. He's stopped. Does not appear to be taking tires. Give him about 8 more seconds, and they'll be back underway. And then we'll keep our eyes on Mike Dam. How close can Mike Dam get? Mike had a pretty solid pit stop himself.
There you go, and he's back underway, Larry. Almost 2.5 seconds faster out of the box than Mike Dam.
Right in the middle of some traffic for Evan Peichel.
There you go, as Peichel rejoins. He's got now a 10-second advantage. It looks like over Mike Dam. 10.5 seconds, so actually picks up a little bit more time under the pit cycle here. And as you mentioned, now that means everybody now has come in for their what we call mandatory pit stops. You're not going to have enough fuel to get to the end of the race.
It'll take a lot of yellow flags to make this race last on 1 tank of gas.
That's right.
It's the 21 Austin Knight getting sandwiched there with a couple of GT3 cars. Bobby Childs and the number 10.
That's Nathan Thomas in the Lamborghini, and that right now is the battle for third, because Alex Brown in the number 43 BMW, he has taken over second place. He has been able now to get around the 88 of Bobby Childs. Of course, again, Bobby Childs had that spin on his approach to the pit lane, and that now moves the BMW up into second. Childs now, after the round of pit stops, is sitting in third, but having to do all he can to hold off that number 10 machine.
Yeah, I think that's all this is Bobby Childs with that spin pretty much on his end lap, and then a bit of a slow pit lane time as well, probably difficulty getting down that little bit of a chicane coming into the pits. All of that has led to Bobby giving up the lead in the AM category to Steve Daniel and Alex Brown, and now Bobby's in a fight for third even with Nathan Thomas. So this will be interesting to see if Nate can try and push Bobby, who's won his share of races in this series, in this category, to see if Nate can kind of push him and take a podium away from the veteran.
There go, as we have just a touch under 20 minutes remaining here from Fuji for round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge. All right, let's jump back over to our leader, Mike Polisek, who's now in TCR, who has almost a 24-second advantage.
From that view, it looked like he had the entire track to himself.
Yeah.
As long as the straightaway is. Yeah, nobody around him.
Is this lone qualifying again, Larry?
It looks like it. Look at that. There's no one even behind him. There's off in the distance. There's a car somewhere up there, but Polisek's so fast. He's just in a league of his own right now, flying around there in this Hyundai.
You know, and I might want to remind everybody that we are still accepting entries here for the World Challenge. So if you think you have something for Mr. Polisek here in TCR, or if you want to join the World Challenge in GT3, if you head to xmsracing.com /road, you'll be able to get to our sign-up sheet, and you too can be on track for round number 3 in just a few weeks at Mosport, a Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, for I believe our first of 2 90-minute extended length races here this season.
Yeah, and I think that this series is definitely growing. It's worth to get into. This is a lot of fun, whether it's in the GT3s or in the TCRs. I'm hoping we'll continue to see this grow. These races are just amazing, and drivers like Peichel and Polisek are showing that there's some strong talent, because they're beating people like Eric Violette and Brandon Whitworth and Mike Dam and some of the veterans that have won this series in their categories. And great to see some more talent come in and deep in this field.
There you go, right touching the bollard there. But you know, I've been noticing, Larry, and you can see here coming out of this corner where Bobby Childs really tries to square off and open up some of these corners, because some of the tight hairpins, I don't know if it's a question of him just getting to the throttle maybe a little bit too early, or if he really has a lack of rear grip right now with the setup that he's running. But starting to see on corner exit a lot of motion from the rear end of that car, and might be a little bit as this race starts to wind down, as we have now under 20 minutes remaining. It might become a little bit more of a challenge for him to keep that current pace and hold off Mr. Thomas.
And we'll have to wait and see, because all these races are very long, and often we see at the end that tires change, track temps change, and a little bit of wild card gets thrown at the end. We'll see what Bobby's got here, the seasoned veteran. See if he can hold off the young flyer. I don't know if he's young or not, but he's young to our league, so I'm going to call him the young flyer out here. Oh, a little bit wide there, actually, in that Lamborghini is Nate Thomas, but still on the push to try and catch up to Bobby. The other battle, of course, this battle going on for third place in GT3 AM, and of course the battle for TCR third place is waging between Eric Violette and Austin Knight. Between those two guys, so we've got a couple of battles here for podiums with just 15 minutes left in the race tonight.
Yeah, where Violette had managed to get around Austin Knight after the pit stops. Knight, though, not taking any tires, and actually I think we got word that the Violette didn't take any tires either. But here, as they're both going to have to contend with our overall leader Evan Peichel, as Peichel slashes through. Finds a good place to get by, just coming out of turn 11, just past the Dunlop curve, and that may have actually opened up a little bit of breathing room for the number 89 machine.
And we'll see if Austin, one of our own commentators, can have anything here for Eric, see if he can really push him and try to hang on to that, maybe try and steal back that third and final podium spot in his Audi. Going with the Audi now, getting away from the Hyundai, while a lot of the other drivers still sticking with the Hyundai. So we'll see what the Audi's got 75 minutes in.
You know, Larry, and early on as they got onto the front straight there, we saw the Audi definitely make a good move under the draft, under the slipstream, to get closer to the 89 car, about 3/4 of the way back. it looked as though the 89 was starting to extend the advantage a little bit, as though the Audi had run out of gear. But then as they came down into the braking zone, you saw where Knight was just a little bit later on the brakes and was able to close things back down to within about 3, maybe 3.5 car lengths.
Good little fight going on, I'll tell you that. Austin is not going to sleep on this. He wants that podium. He wants to take it away from the perennial winner here, Violet. Maybe learning a few things about the lines that Eric's taking. Look at him pushing them. Filling mirrors right now. They're going to have a couple of GT3s, though, coming their way momentarily. As I saw, one of them is Jeff Jacobs.
Yeah, we're going to have that battle in GT3 AM coming up on, or probably an AM coming up on him. As Jacobs is coming up in the Mercedes, and I think we've got Cabrera in the Ferrari just a little bit behind that as well.
Mike Dam there, making his way through first. Pretty comfortable in second spot is Mike Dam. 10 seconds though back from Evan Peichel, your overall race leader, but he's a good 20 seconds ahead of Jennifer McDonald, who's actually had a pretty solid race tonight. 30 seconds back from the leader, but she's been strong here coming into this night. We were supposed to talk to her at the start of the race. She was focused in, and maybe that paid off for her to get up to this position and to hang on to right now this third and provisional podium spot.
Yeah, and she's lost a little bit of ground to Resputo, but again, you know, she has some time to give there. After the pit stops, looks like she's maybe given up about 2.5, 3 seconds to the 132 Mercedes, but you know, she's led a quiet but Larry, I think, very consistent race at this point.
Yeah, very consistent. You can see there that at this point can probably not going to coast too much. There's still about 10-15 minutes to go here, but Resputo probably not going to be able to make up the next we'll call it 6 seconds or so to try and catch her, or 10 seconds or so. He's going to be looking to hang on to that 4th spot. But this little battle across different classes, Schwenke, and of course in the AM category, our leader, Steve Daniel. Steve probably not wanting to put that category lead at risk, but maybe picking up a spot on Travis Schwenke might help make his night even better.
Yeah, as I say, might give him a little air in his step here. But both Schwenke and Daniel are now going to have to fight through a big field of TCR cars, and they get around all of them there, going through. Looks like going through 130 or 130R. Through actually coming out of turn 9 out of 300R. Oh, and just as you say that, Larry, we've got Steve Daniel. Looks like he gets into the back of one of our TCR cars, and as he's trying to recover, he and Travis Schwenke get together. So both of them now thrown off the pace just a little bit. Steve Daniel manages for the time being to hold on to the lead in AM. But let's
take a look at this again, shall we?
Yeah, let's see exactly what happens here as they were coming up here, and
Mikey on that outside, and it looks like, I don't know that Steve thought that maybe he was going to be seen by that other driver. It just wasn't there, and suddenly he decided to make a radical move there to try and avoid the accident. Ends up spinning and even getting all the way up into the back of Schwenke. So Steve Daniel now under investigation for that incident.
Yeah, and that Larry is one of the two, probably the two hardest braking corners here on the course. All right, let's take a look. I think we've got another look at this from Steve's view, and we'll see exactly what happens. You see Schwenke move over driver's left, and Larry, you know, I don't know what to tell you. It looked like Daniel had already moved over his over driver's left, and perhaps the TCR car had thought he had clearance coming under braking there, and it closed up awfully quickly is all I can say.
Yeah, it's just one of those, you know, communication is tough at those kind of speeds and those things. And unfortunately for, I believe that was the 68 of Tom Jenkins, you know, maybe just didn't quite see Steve Daniel coming up behind him. for Daniel now, I hope that he doesn't have any damage on that car. It didn't look like there was any strong impact. There was a little bit of rubbing going on. You can see the front end's got an extra little buckle to it because his lead right now is about 4 seconds in class over Mr. Brown.
All right, let's jump back over, and this is again the battle. Yeah, this is the battle for third. And when we were last here, Larry, Eric Violet in the number 89 D2D E-Racing machine had been running in third. Austin Knight running in fourth. Let's take a look here. I think we've got the pass queued up. And they're coming down the front straight into the hairpin at turn number 1. And Austin Knight from the outside, Larry.
A run.
Yeah, goes the long way around and just motors right on past the Hyundai going into turn 3.
Well, that's interesting because I'm wondering now if the counter move will be very similar for Eric Violet. As again, they've got some GT3 cars coming up behind him. That's Russ Ruddock in the Lamborghini going on by. And then one of our D2D drivers, Chris Thorman, also following him through. So not interrupting the TCR battle at least. Although Thorman, a little bit of a struggle there as he takes the exit road. There he is, poking his way around as Jennifer McDonald's going to come up through there momentarily. But leaving this battle untouched here between Knight and Violet. We'll see what here now with about 8 minutes to go. Lap times are about 1:40. We'll call it somewhere around 5 laps, maybe 4 or 5 laps. We'll see how it depends on, of course, where the leader is. But that's 4 or 5 more chances for Eric Violet to figure out how to get on by Austin Knight, or will Austin Knight find his way to a podium in this TCR field? First night with his new team.
Well, you know, Larry, he's been in the green room all night long waiting to be interviewed.
Austin Knight, never shy, is he? Never shy of words, and always has a speech queued up. Look at that. No action between Steve Daniel and the 68s of Tom Jenkins. I guess the stewards feeling that there was just kind of equal parts, miscommunication, and just figured, let's just let it go. That's what they do. Play on. McDonald coming on through, running in the 3rd spot.
And this is interesting to watch, Larry, because of course Jennifer had been a LMP2 driver in the previous seasons here in the World Challenge when it was GT3 and LMP2, and she's had a lot of experience having to make her way through some slower traffic. And if I remember correctly from the last 2 seasons, she was probably one of only LMP2 drivers that did not have an incident with some GT3 traffic.
There were definitely some crimes committed in the LMP2 class last season. Yes. She was not one of them, was always one of the cleaner drivers and putting that experience to good use here. One of the drivers who's definitely made some contacts tonight has been Travis Schwenke. You can see him here running in 5th in that pro category. Just a moment ago, was able to get around Alex Brown, who is running in 2nd in the AM category. Travis, though, you can tell by the rear wing on the right end plate, has not had a clean night tonight. He's definitely made some contact with that big old Mercedes. As he's trying to get around Shane Jordan now in the TCR, currently running in 5th. Remember, Shane at one point was running solidly up in the top 3. Seems to fall apart a little bit with the pit stop, took on the tires, had a slower pit stop than the others. Now finding himself behind the battle of Knight and Violet for 3rd. Jordan just all by himself.
Exactly, in a very distant 5th place, as he is, I believe, somewhere around
20 seconds or so.
Say about 23 seconds or so back from Eric Violet.
And there they are. There's the battle of Violet in the purple, black, and gray D2D E-Racing, following closely behind Austin Knight in that black Audi. And look at that, Knight even pulling away. There's the 5-lap trend, not giving up anything. Half a tenth and then 2 or 3 tenths each lap. So slowly pulling on Eric Violet. Eric now with 4.5 minutes, running out of laps to go as the Reciputo trying to make his way around these two, currently running 4th in the pro category.
And doing it very, very gingerly here. All right, so let's take a look here, Larry, as we've said, as we only have now less than 5 minutes remaining in the 75-minute race, Evan Peichel, driver of the Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Porsche 911, just turned, as he is certainly running low on fuel, just ran the fastest lap of the race, and that is almost half a second faster than Mike Dam has managed to run all race.
Never lift, never give up, never change your marks, never change your points, just keep pushing. That's what Evan Peichel's doing right now. You know, you don't want to Nigel Mansell away a victory and start, you know, slowing down and waving to the crowd. He'll be doing waving when he's got the bottle of champagne in his hand. He's not going to do it when he's got a steering wheel on board. So smooth. Taking great lines, tidy. Look at that. The car is just absolutely just on rails.
An economy of motion there is you can just, you know, I'm even and not to dismiss Kevin Ford's driving, but just as we watched Evan Peichel run through that last sector there, just how smooth he was.
When Evan Peichel wants to give up actually being the front runner, he could just record all of the track guide videos for Kevin Ford. Is that his next career?
Perhaps. we still need Kevin for the voiceover.
Well, he's doing a fantastic job putting on a show right now. Maybe he doesn't need to show it in track guides. He's showing us on track.
On track.
Yep. Just really putting on a clinic right now.
All right.
This, this looks like Brown's coming right back at Travis Schwenke. Again, this is not in class. These are two different classes here between the pro category of Schwenke and the AM category of Brown. With Brown wanting that track position back.
And right now, and you know, and again, time is running down here, but Brown isn't that far back from Steve Daniel. Only about 4.5 seconds, I believe. Actually, no, my mistake there. Actually, about 11 seconds. All right, so he is considerably further back. But yeah, again, this Alex Brown currently running second in AM, Schwenke running in pro. As we've got now, it looks like
about 2 laps to go, and this battle between these two is underway in this war. It is Hyundai against Audi. Austin Knight doing everything he can to hold off Eric Violette and that Hyundai. Does look like the Audi's got the advantage on the straights. We'll see. He seems to be pulling just a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, and again, we saw just the opposite before. And Violet makes up a tiny little bit under braking, I'm sure, trying to get as deep as he can into that braking zone for that very, very hard braking hairpin.
And I think we've got white flag out for the leader, Evan Peichel. There it is.
Indeed, there it is. Finish. Here we go. Last lap here at Fuji. Evan Peichel now with a 17-second advantage over Mike Dam in second. Is now just a bit under 2.6 miles away from taking the checkered flag.
There goes, look at this. Knight having to give up a little bit to the Brown and Schwenke battle. Now maybe giving up a little bit to Eric Violette. Eric not going to be able to make it stick. Austin Knight still holding on. Look at him positioning the car to try and hold back any kind of move from the Hyundai. Austin now into the tightest corner on the course, cutting all the curb to try and keep position. Just a few corners left here before they'll get their white flag. So it'll be one more time around for them. We'll see, does Eric Violette have anything for Austin Knight on the last lap of the race? As one of our D2D Ferraris is just going to sit back and watch this develop.
Watch it all, exactly. And so Larry, I know one of the advantages that the Audi has perhaps over the rest of the TCR field in iRacing with its DSG transmission is that it does have a little bit lower first and second gear than the Hyundai does or than the Civic Type R does. And I'm wondering if for some of these very slow corners like turn 1, as both Knight and Violet now are starting their final lap just ahead of Evan Peichel, who's now coming down the front straight. And Evan Peichel will take the win here 2 races in a row. He takes the win round number 2 from Fuji Speedway. And we'll have to wait for Mike Dam to cross the line. And as we do, Larry, I'll get back to that thought very quickly, is I'm just wondering if maybe that extra little bit of pull from the lower gearing that the Audi has been been advantageous for Knight. We saw him make that move from the outside coming out of turn 1.
It is a ridiculously short geared car. Most of us will say that anything less than third gear is useless in that Audi, but on these super tight hairpins, maybe it's an advantage right here out of these slow corners. And I can tell you, it looks like Violet is giving it all he can. But again, look at that pull, even with the tighter line. The pull there is so strong for Austin Knight in that Audi.
All right, so Peichel took the win. Mike Dam finishing second. Jennifer McDonald finishing third in GT3. Coming across the line, taking the win in TCR is Mike Polasek. And now let's jump back to that battle.
Yeah, he turns his fastest lap of the race on lap 40, whatever it was for him, 41, and showing he's got the victory. This guy, Daniel, going to come along, take his victory. But look at these guys side by side with about 2 corners to go. Eric Violet now going to take the short distance on the inside of Austin Knight. Can he make it stick and still get a run? He's in front. And
a bit of a tap
in the back of him.
As they come onto the front straight, Larry, and there you go. Just when he needed to do it, Austin Knight, or Eric Violet, gets around Austin Knight. Knight is going to try to draft past before the finish line, which is about 3/4 of the way down the straight.
It's going to be close. They're going to be side by side.
And as they come down the straight, Violet still has the position, but as they come to the line, taking second place, Eric Violet, or pardon me, third place, Eric Violet. Austin Knight is going to finish in 4th. And I forgot, right in the middle of all that, Brandon Whitworth in the number 42 machine finishing 2nd in TCR.
Sorry,
so
Brandon, but the battle behind you was better than that battle you weren't in. But talk about a move by Eric Violet on the last corner, and Austin Knight giving him the bump, actually, to give him a bit of a launch, helping him out. Had he been able to avoid it, perhaps Austin Knight might have been able to take that 3rd and final podium position. What a battle between those two, right down to the very last moment down the front straightaway. Awesome stuff.
All right, so there you go. Evan Peichel, your winner. Mike Dam, 2nd. Jennifer McDonald, 3rd. In Pro, Steve Daniel taking the win in AM. Alex Brown coming home 2nd. Bobby Childs finishing in 3rd. And you just saw it there. Polasek, Whitworth, and Violet, your top 3 in TCR. So, Larry, let's take another quick break. Going to thank our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll talk to some of our podium finishers here from Fuji. You just witnessed round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge. We'll be right back.
Extreme scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
All right, and we are back here at Fuji Speedway, where you've just seen round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod, His Eminence Larry Lefty McLeod, and let's now talk to some of our podium finishers, and we're going to start off with Brandon Whitworth, finishing second tonight in TCR, driver the number 42 D2D iRacing Hyundai Elantra. Oops, and I almost grabbed the wrong person.
All right, Brandon Whitworth finished second tonight in the TCR category. Brandon, early on, you were in quite a battle there with Eric and with Austin and a few others, with Shane. You were able to pull away and put a gap on them and solidify that second spot. Walk me a little bit through that and how that race went.
Yeah, I was hoping that Shane and I might work together a little bit to catch Polasek, but that didn't really quite work out the way I wanted it to. And then eventually he got tangled up with a GT3 car somehow there in the last corner. I don't know what happened there. I haven't had a chance to look. And after that, it was just me. I was lonely, guys.
Is this a message to the rest of the field? Hey, don't leave me lonely next time. Well, you did a great job. This is a tough track. It seemed to be wide enough, all this decreasing radius, is that there were a lot of interactions going on between passing cars, whether it's GT3s on TCRs. What's your view from TCR as some of did you find the GT3s were suddenly on your tail and kind of unpredictably, and it was difficult to let them by, or how was it from your side?
It wasn't too bad. There's the back section back there, the last few corners is pretty tight, so they're not really that much faster than we are, but the track's so wide, it's kind of easy to give them a little room and let them by. Yeah, for the most part they pass us on the outside because they don't have to lift that much, and there's a lot of room, so it wasn't bad.
Well, that's good, and but for you to come home in second in what's quickly turning into a very deep TCR field with talent, seems like continue to jump in each week. You gotta love that.
Yeah, no, it's glad it's picking up, and maybe we'll get everything sorted out and have a little more speed next race.
Well, I'm pretty sure you will. I know you guys will probably buckle down and work on that setup, but it's great to see the field deepening up, and it's great to see you kind of right in the mix there once again in a podium position, second spot tonight in the D2D iRacing Hyundai. So congratulations on that finish. Anybody want to give a special thanks to?
Yeah, shout out to PF, ETG, Ricmotech sponsors, and guys for putting on the league. They do a good job, and of course my family for letting me do this.
Absolutely, they're always a big part of this. So congratulations, yep, Brandon, on a good second spot tonight, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks.
All right, thanks.
All right, there you go. Brandon Whitworth finishing second tonight in TCR. And Larry, let's bring in driver of the number 47, and tell me if this is not apropos, the Full Send Racing Hyundai Elantra, our winner tonight in TCR, Mike Polasek.
Yeah, Mike Polasek, our winner tonight in TCR. We were speculating, Mike, about 20 minutes into this race that by the end of this race, you probably have a sponsor for that car because you were getting the airtime. No one was around you. You were flying tonight. Tell me a little bit about how this went from your side.
Well, to be honest, this was a very, very tight schedule for me. So I was literally listening to the driver's briefing on the train home, and I got in my rig with about like 6 minutes to go in quali. So I got in the server, and then those are my first laps on the new tire model for this car, and it drives completely differently to the old tire model. You have to be a lot more careful with it. The tires take a lot longer to heat up, and I would say it's a bit more fun. It's definitely different and an interesting challenge, that's for sure.
Well, you adapted amazingly quickly. Maybe the rush hour ride home kind of inspired you to stay away from the traffic, because you seem to do a good job of that tonight. But yeah, you talk about the new tire model and how quickly you could adapt. Apparently that's not an issue for you. Maybe you just know this circuit, know this car well enough that even a change like a tire model didn't seem to affect you.
I've been driving this class ever since release. The TCR cars, in my opinion, are the best class of car on the iRacing service. So it's absolutely so much fun to race these cars, whether it's hot lapping or actually like actively racing with people. It's really fun. The series itself is also really fun. I'm still trying to get to grips with the new tire model. There's still a lot of things I don't really understand yet, but I think with each race we do, the full send racing and everyone will start to understand and learn how to set up the cars and how to best adapt to it.
Well, it seemed to work well, and I think you even turned your fastest lap on the last lap of the race, if I'm not mistaken. So things still continuing to get faster for you, and with a margin of victory like that, that's frightening to the rest of the field. So awesome job tonight taking the victory. And I got to ask, who do you got to thank? Who do you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Well, first and foremost, I got to thank Full Send Racing for all the support and everything that they give us. We have a really, really strong driver lineup now, and I'm grateful for each and every one of them to be on the team and all the hard work they put in for each and every single race. I'd also like to thank my family as well for all the support that they give me. And I'd like to thank you guys and Extreme Motorsports for putting on such a great series.
Yeah, awesome drive tonight. I cannot wait to see how this thing progresses throughout the season. It's great to have talent like yourself joining this league, and what a victory. So congrats on that tonight, Mike, and see you again next time.
Thank you very much.
All right. Greg, if you're still there, I think
I should mute myself up or unmute myself. There we go.
Are.
All right, so that was Michael Polasek, our winner tonight in TCR. Thank you, Larry. Eventually, I'll figure out how to use all this modern day equipment. Let's do this now. We've got our winner in GT3 AM, Steve Daniel. Let's bring him on in.
All right, Steve Daniel joined us tonight. And Steve, you had a lot of battling going on tonight with the interclass or in between classes, but you're able to come out on top in that Ferrari. Walk me through your night.
I was very, very surprised. I'm normally not up at the top, so to be in the top 6 was a little nerve-wracking and definitely a lot of traffic, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, there was a ton of traffic early on. You were in the battle there with Bobby and with Travis Schwenke and a few others. You managed to stay out of the fray and continue to fight on and come home with this victory. You may think you're not often there, but we've talked to you enough times to know that you've got the pace and certainly consistency to be there. But tonight, it came close to maybe ending in a little bit of tears near the end of the race, as you were kind of chasing down a little bit of Travis Schwenke, I believe it was, and you got yourself into a little bit of trouble there. But is that just one of those miscommunication with the TCR driver?
Yeah, I thought for sure he was just going to take the inside since he let Travis around the outside, and when I went around the outside, he came back out to make the corner, and I wasn't quite expecting it. So, but they saw it as a racing incident, so I just kept going.
Any damage on the car from that?
A little bit, but actually I came out pretty good shape. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, sometimes a little bit lucky in those instances helps out, but glad it didn't work out too badly. Able to hang on for the victory here in the M category in GT3. Is there anybody you want to thank for this victory tonight?
As always, just thank everybody in this league who supports it and Apex Racing TV to keep this league going and make it a lot of fun.
This is always the most fun league out there, and having drivers like yourself and the talent like yourself coming out here and showing us each week how it's done is a real joy. So congratulations, Steve, taking the victory here in GT3 AM tonight.
Thanks, guys.
All right, I'm going to unmute myself this time. There you go. That's Steve Daniel, driver of the number 96 SKKJ Racing Ferrari. Again, your winner tonight in GT3 AM. And Larry, I think that leaves us with just one driver remaining to bring on in, and he was your overall winner tonight, driver of the number 23 Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Porsche 911, Evan Peichel.
Evan Peichel, all I gotta say is, wow, the pace you put up tonight was just astounding. Tell me a little bit about where that speed came from.
Well, I don't know. I just learned this track like last week or something, and I guess I like it. It is a really fun track.
Yeah, it's a challenging track, has all kinds of corners, difficult to learn, so I'm impressed. I know some of the older sim and video games may have had this. Obviously, we talked to this onset about pole position, 50 years ago, had this. Probably not where you'll learn the layout, but you picked it up quickly and just put on a clinic. It just clicks for you. I'm stunned as maybe as much as you are, but tell me a little bit about how just managing that race, how you were trying to pace yourself to be able to take that victory.
Well, I mean, I was just trying to not die, I guess. After like lap 10, the car started getting really, really sketchy, so I just started fuel saving. And I guess it helped me not overdrive the car in a bunch of the corners. So from like lap 10 to the end, I was just fuel saving. And I guess it worked out.
Yeah, you know what? A track like this, patience and discipline probably pays off. There's a lot of places to overdrive in this place, and I don't think you overdrove even a single corner the entire race. It was very impressive to be able to take a victory with a margin like this over some of the top drivers we've got. So awesome job to you. Beautiful job tonight taking this victory. Who do you want to give a shout out and a thanks to tonight?
I want to thank my grandparents for watching. I know they're watching right now. And I want to thank Extreme Scoring for their sponsorship this season and letting me do the season. And then I want to thank all the team sponsors, Alpine Stars, GoPro, PSI, FimLab, all of them.
Well, awesome job, and I'm sure the grandparents are proud to watch this performance here tonight, and they'll have something to tell all their friends and neighbors about here. That's how good their grandson's doing. So awesome job taking another victory here in the pro category for Evan Peichel. Round 2 wins. Boy, it's going to be an interesting season. So congrats, Evan.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Evan Peichel, tonight's winner from Fuji Speedway. And so, Larry, why don't we start to get things wrapped up here and take a look at what we've got coming up here in the many different Ricmotech series. So next week, September 19th, we're going to have rounds 2 and 3 of the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series. Those are Mazda MX-5 drivers. We're gonna hang out here down in the Far East, Larry, because the Classic Sprint Series drivers, they're going to be at Suzuka running the West course for those two 20-minute, or probably two 30-minute races with an inverted grid for the second race. You don't want to miss it next Monday night at 8 p.m. And then in 2 weeks, September 26th, the World Challenge returns. I think I talked about it earlier. I think I mentioned it earlier. We're going to be heading back to North America. We're going to be heading to Mosport, the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, for a 90-minute endurance race, the first of 2 90-minute races this season. And again, that is in 2 weeks. And then, hold your breath, don't hold your breath. We don't want you to hurt yourselves or anything, but join us in January for the return of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Those are TCR cars and also GT4 cars. We're going to be starting again in early January, as I mentioned, with a series of 60-minute races. And so you definitely don't want to miss that. And so, before I wrap things up, I've been calling Larry His Eminence. And yes, I realize that there have been some changes in the royal family over in the UK. And Larry
has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, Larry has absolutely nothing to do with this, but I think we should go and just mention that this past week, our own Larry Lefty McLeod won his 4th national solo championship with the Sports Car Club of America, and he was named their 2022 Driver of Eminence. And that's for the driver that demonstrates excellence behind the wheel, which he certainly has, an exemplary degree of sportsmanship, dedication, and most of all, unselfishness. And so, Larry, congratulations to you. And I obviously am very, very pleased and happy to be able to call you my announcing partner. And so for everybody here, for Jonathan Grabowski back behind the scenes, for His Eminence Larry Lefty McLeod, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we'll see you next Monday night at 8 o'clock for the Classic Sprint Series. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.